Hello everyone. Unfortunately, we have some bad news. The closed beta for patch 7 has been delayed. It was set to begin today, and I'm reading this first paragraph here. It was set to begin today, but while preparing the build for you, we were once more humbled by the classic lesson taught to every game dev while playing bug fix whack-a-mole. If you fix one bug over here, another one might still pop up over there. This happened with one of the fixes we wanted to introduce in patch 7, which has caused passive roles to stop working. We're trying to figure out how we got here, so while we do that, we'll be pushing the closed beta back to later this week. That's really kind of funny. So passive roles is a massive part of the game. Passive roles count for everything, from like dialogue, basically any roll that happens where you don't actually click the dice to roll. That's a passive roll. So it could be in dialogue when somebody tells you something and you might fail like a history check or something like that, that will enable you to recall something or have an additional line in the dialogue that it's not happening, as well as a passive roll for perception. All those hundreds, thousands of perception rolls, yeah, they all stopped working. So that's kind of funny. So while they fixed that, they gave us some extra information. So a lot of this stuff is extra information that was in the last community update. So I'm not going to touch on those. If you want to go over the full thing, you can go back and watch my other video or go back and read their other updates. It's in the news updates on Steam. Excuse me. So to tide you over, we wanted to share with you a list of highlights from the patch 7 notes, which include over 1,000 fixes and improvements. So as well as the new evil ending cinematics, split screen improvements, and the modding toolkit. These fixes include making the way you use soap a bit clearer. So instead of right click consume, it's now right click use, which will be detailed later on here. Dissipating Gale's necrotic aura when it should dissipate, and a bunch of other stuff. And also, by popular demand, you'll now be able to turn on the honor mode mechanics in custom mode. This has driven me nuts because I played through a couple of custom modes and I wanted to use the honor mode rule set, but not able to for some reason. So thankfully that will be a thing now, so I'm really excited to do an honor mode run when this launches and a custom mode. So and then again, for additional information, go to the last community update, which will have all the stuff. And before we move on, spoilers, lots of spoilers all throughout Act 1, 2, and 3, different cinematics, different ending spoilers. So if you don't want any of that, go ahead and basically skip the video. So the highlights, of course, the evil endings, which was mentioned before, their very own mod manager, revamped split screen. So those are the big things that are coming in this patch. Honor mode combat, Jorraxlin finds himself, if he finds himself in the spider pit, he will try his best to befriend the spiders residing there with a new spell called Arachnid Compulsion. I cannot speak today. So they can band together and fight you. So before, in the last one, they just said that he had this new spell that could make the spiders aid him, and I said that I wasn't sure if that would summon the spiders up to the second floor to fight you. It seems like it's really only going to happen if he gets pushed down there, which is kind of like the common strategy. If you push him down there, and now he'll use that to try to compel them to fight you. It seems like they may have to make a save, so I think that maybe with a potion of animal speaking or something like that, you might still be able to influence them to save against that or something like that. That would be really cool if you could do that. The Boulette has a new condition called Diamond Scales and a new legendary action called Shredding Scales. Woo. Malice Thorm has a new legendary action called Grasping Appendage. No idea what that's about. added a new aura and spell for spectators, Panicked Sentinel and Ocular Nightmare, respectively. So this sounds really cool. This sounds like if they get to low health, then they enter into a Elden Ring-esque phase 2. Sounds kind of cool. So this guy, the leader of the Githyanki ambush in Act 2, has a new legendary action called Soul Sacrifice. This is what I'm terrified about. Like, if these are the monks that jump through the portal and ambush your team, that was already really hard. I remember fighting through that several times, and the amount of times that they make you go prone. Like, I think on my first run, they made every single member of my party prone, and I couldn't get anywhere near the portal. So this sounds really terrifying. And then this guy, the Githyanki leader at the Knights of the Shield hideout, has a new legendary action called something Embrace. Cool. And then Taurus has a new legendary action called Taurian Dogma. Pretty cool. And then some UI changes, which I'm also pretty excited for. Revised and reorganized the in-game video options to be more logical and robust. You now have an upscaling type dropdown, an upscaling mode dropdown, and an upscaling sharpness slider, followed immediately by the options that are affected by them. Good changes. Updated the reactions UI so you only have to toggle the reactions you want to use and then confirm them. This saves you from having to select do not react multiple times. This can get really annoying because depending on your characters and the buffs and all that stuff that you have on them, you could have multiple of these reactions that you have to click every single time. Do not react, do not react, do not react, until you start using them, and then they slowly go away. So that's cool that that's finally like going away. New equipment options to the character sheet on controller. That's awesome. I'm curious about what that's going to be because I do play on Steam Deck. Occasionally when I'm in bed. I normally play on PC. So, of course, we went over the donate magic items in the last video. So Gale will now show items in your traveler's chest, which is great. You don't have to keep all these magic items on your people for him to be able to use. And then this is what I was saying earlier about the soap. Instead of consuming soap, you now use it. It's cool. It's still going to act the same way. It's just different verbiage. And then some little like fixes here. There's going to be a new loading screen in Act 3 showing the busy streets of Baldur's Gate. And then fix the skirt part of the adamantine splint armor missing for female dwarves. I'm not even sure what that looks like. Was it just missing that kind of lower half and it was just thighs all the way? So, and then fix the scale mail as well, clipping on large male characters. This already mentioned before. And this is cool. These guys promise to build you an army will now support you in the final battle, which is awesome. If you help the Gondians, they'll also help you in the final battle and will now arrive in the form of a friendly Steel Watcher. That is terrifying for the enemy. You can already summon so many allies. It's possible to field like an army of allies. It's really cool. And I'm super excited for this patch because it's adding a few extra people. Like the Steel Watcher. Hair color options and character creation will now remain accessible after you choose the bald hairstyle so that you can continue fiddling around with eyebrow colors. That's cool. I didn't know that there was that kind of restriction. And then just some other like minor stuff, really. Some of this stuff that we went over before, like resurrecting Lae'zel on the beach. Some extra animations adding. Let's see. I read all this stuff earlier, but of course I have a squirrel brain. So there's new greetings and stuff like that. So, but there's awesome stuff. So with this scripting, there's extra stuff to say now. So like Minthara does in fact have something to say. about Orin after you kill her. Uh, Made the romance scene at night with Will in Act 3 unskippable if it triggers to avoid accidentally skipping it and not being able to finish the romance arc. That's cool. I didn't know that if you like skipped it or whatever, it didn't finish it. But so now I know that this was bothersome to a bunch of people. If Avatar, Karlak, and Will are partners and go to the Hells together, he'll now act accordingly during the epilogue. That's awesome. And then, so y'all can read the rest of this. It's just minor additional stuff for like dialogue and little scenes and stuff. So performance, continue to make performance and stability optimizations across the game and implemented many under the hood code fixes. Optimized performance. This will have a more noticeable impact in areas with large numbers of NPCs, like the lower city, and will reduce peak memory usage when loading levels for the first time. It will also be noticeable when managing lots of loot, like when transferring everything from a camp chest to a character's inventory. And then cinematics, fix some stuff with some cinematics. So there's going to be a lot more because they said over 1,000. This is obviously much less than 1,000. So I'm really excited to see the state of the game after this, and I'm really excited for this because I've done a couple of videos. I've done a couple of videos on Steam Deck performance, which is pretty good throughout Act 1 and 2, but in the big city in Baldur's Gate, it tanks. And it tanks even if you set everything to low and FSR to maximum performance. It is just very, very sluggish. It goes down to like 15 FPS. And I tested that twice in the very beginning when the game launched, and after patch 5, which was like their big optimization patch. And it was still bad. So we'll see how much better it gets. I will test it again once the patch releases and give it maybe like give it time for a hot fix or something like that. Just to give it the best chance that it can. And with that, that's all we have today. Unfortunately, no early access for us, or no closed beta access for us, which is very unfortunate. So hopefully we get it later on this week. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next one.